The What a Stranger Told Me podcast.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Stranger things have happened.
Microphone. Confidence.
Don't talk to strangers.
All right,
Let's do this.
What about in the shade down there?
Yeah.
What are they called, these dogs?
Caucasian Shepherd. It's like the giant of the giants.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
And
fantastic.
They brought him into the country in 2003. But just to warn you, if someone's got a big dog, don't be running back and kind of approaching them without kind of staying your distance first.
It's like a horse.
Yeah, pretty
sort
much.
of thing. Wow.
My primary job, which is why I said it's your lucky day, was traveling in the world documenting humanitarian crises.
Wow.
So
Come on, have a seat.
pick a story. Tell me when you're recording.
Okay, I'm recording, and you tell me if you don't want something mentioned, a name, just, you can edit it out sort of thing. So you
Well, I'll tell you what might be interesting for you is first have a look at the website. So I've kept my website up for nostalgia reasons or nostalgic reasons. So I kind of never lose perspective of who I am compared to the guy who's now living in Perugian Beach raising a giant dog. And you'll see all the listings of countries and places that I've been in, the work that I've done, and each assignment was kind of it was very diverse. So one would be earthquake in Haiti, another one, the big one in I think 2010, riots in Papua New Guinea, child soldiers in Uganda, ecotourism development in Vietnam, which is that particular assignment was a gift. I had to go to an impoverished region and transform it into a tourist hub. It was part of a poverty reduction program, so they brought me in to spend 3 months traveling with translators to map out this uncharted region. And within a year of my work, I still have the ring actually. This is from one of the village elders. When I first arrived, hey baby. When I first arrived, he wept in my arms, this little Vietnamese man with the village who'd just done this wonderful welcoming performance for me, saying thank you for helping us. And he was weeping, saying we're in such a destitute place here, you got to help us. And as he wept, he gave me this ring, and I'm saying to the translator, no, that's not necessary. And the translator, turn around baby, come on. Sit down. Go on. Come on. Oh, down, run. So the translator said, no. You got to take it. It's the culture. So after I'd finished, I said to him, give me 6 months and your life will be transformed. And in a year I came, because I was doing all the public relations and marketing and filming and all that stuff. So in a year I went back and they all came out and he jumped in my arms. No, actually picked me up. And this is a really small little Vietnamese man. And he picked me up and said, you did it. You changed our lives forever. And I held up my hand and said, here's the ring that I'll always carry, because a very cathartic, soulful exchange. Meaning it meant something to me to help these guys who were in such a shocking situation of poverty. And then it was transformed within a year into one of the most popular tourist hubs in Vietnam. So the whole region was transformed.
Can I get a bit of context? What, you were a humanitarian aid worker?
No, I was a freelance film photography, a reporter essentially for NGOs, doing case studies on the ground to determine how bad the situation is and what the NGOs were doing, and then promoting what they were doing for donations and what do they call it? Recruitment. Just arousing recruitment or increasing the recruitment for volunteers and stuff to come. So everything that you see of an NGO, that's a non-government organisation like Red Cross, you'll see all their advertising, right? Or you'll see them in natural disasters. Well, that's what I was doing. So I would just kind of freelance around the world based on my commercial portfolio which was funny because my first assignment was to Papua New Guinea, to highland riots and a cholera epidemic, and with Doctors Without Borders. And when I got there, we were just shooting the shit with the staff, and they said, "Well, how did you get here?" And I said, "Well, I just sent my portfolio to Médecins Sans Frontières, again, Doctors Without Borders, and they sent it to Geneva, and within a week, they got back to me saying, the assignment's yours in PNG." And I think the reality is no one was game to go to PNG, right?
Where were you working before you went there?
I was in America as a commercial photographer living in San Francisco. So through tragic circumstances, my marriage ended, and of 14 years, and as a way to overcome the grief of this tragedy, I very consciously put myself in the most fucked up places on the planet to keep my mind from collapsing into an emotional state of ruin, essentially. And it worked brilliantly, because the moment you get off the plane, a good illustration of this is I hadn't seen my brother for 2 years because he was doing what I was doing, but he kept it local to PNG, and I kind of took it global. But he provided the training in Papua New Guinea because he lived there for 20 years. And as soon as I got out of the airport, you've got about 100 locals just congregating at the entrance, and you see this pathetic white man, which is me, trudging through, a broken man, and my brother stood at the back of the crowd, and his very first words when I finally reached him was, "If I ever see you walking through a crowd of locals again with your head down, I'll punch you in the face." And the lesson was, you got to watch everything that's happening in this situation in PNG, because you're likely to get a machete or in your head, or robbed, or whatever. I mean, it's the Wild West in PNG, and not many people kind of get it, and you have to live it to believe it. So you'd often see people being robbed or stabbed. It was quite comical seeing ignorant expats going to the only hotel in Port Moresby, and they'd come running out of the barbed wire gates and security out onto the street for a jog. And as you see them running out, you're thinking, man, they're definitely not coming back with their shoes, if not worse. Even going to the corner store was an adventure in itself.
Did anything ever happen to you?
The very first time my brother said, "Okay, you're ready, go and play and take the equipment." So now you've got about 40 grand worth of equipment. And he said, "Okay, go to the city square." And it's not really a city in our terms, it's more a town with a couple of big buildings, or 10-story buildings. And the job was to photograph for the telecommunications company there how on the street their product is sold. And the locals set up booths to sell, what do they call, I'm not a tech guy, mate, to sell the SIM cards and minutes and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I've done the rounds of and I'm always asking everybody, it's vital that you do. And even though I did, the very first guy out of about 15 stalls comes up, and he's got about 10 guys with him, and he says, I didn't tell you could take my photograph, but he had, and he says, now you give me money. And then in PNG, typically when a riot, or not a riot, a very large gathering of bystanders is summoned the moment someone raises their voice. So the 10 went to, seriously, about 50 people just kind of all came running in. So now I'm totally surrounded. I had this local guy who worked with us, and he used to come back every weekend with, shits and giggle horror stories of tribal fights that they would have. So he's hardcore, is my point, right? So when this crowd starts to get agitated, I looked at him and I said, "So what's the play?" And he was absolutely dismayed and said, essentially, "We're fucked, mate. Everything, we're fucked. They're going to take it all, and we're lucky to get out with our lives." And I kind of looked at him and thought, Jesus, you're the local. You're supposed to be managing this situation. And I spotted and they're really getting nasty. And the guy who started it was a very big guy, and he's barking right in my face. And I spotted an old man on the perimeter of the crowd who was sitting there. So I beelined it to him, and then said, I'm not being paid for this. I'm doing this to help the locals and to promote local government initiatives. And then I got very self-righteous, so I started barking back, but I'm always within the hearing of this elder. So once I'd said my grand speech, I looked to the elder, and he very thoughtfully said, "No, he's good. He's on our side." Right. So everybody settles down. Well, this was more intuitive because I wasn't experienced yet. And like I said, it's the first time I went out by myself with all the equipment. And reflecting on that, what had happened was intuitively I had beelined it to the elder, knowing that the culture elders have a high standing. So if he gave the thumbs up, we'd make it out. So it was funny because the moment he gives the thumbs up, good on you, thanks very much for helping us. I turn to the assistant and say, okay, let's get out of here. And we walk through the crowd and they all disperse, and we don't look back, and we get to the Jeep about 30 meters away, and then we turn back, and the roughest bunch of boys, mate, they're all there waving, going, thank you very, very much. And it's like, cool, we made that out alive kind of thing.
You've been listening to part 1 of this guest on What a Stranger Told Me. The conversation continues in the next episode. Thanks for listening, and don't be a stranger.
If you've got a story you'd love the world to hear, then call us on 0489 272 286.
Also, if you'd like us to chat to strangers in your town, or maybe you've got a conference you'd like a podcast from,
then contact us at whatastrangertoldme.com.
What a Stranger Told Me is made by Tim Reid and Jon Coghill.
Music supervision by Dennis Folletto.
Photography by Andy McCall and Will Reid.
See ya.